I should. I'm all good, I'm all good. Never knew I could. I'm all good, I'm all good. Feeling like I should.
What is going on? This is Altoni and welcome back to the channel. And today I actually wanted to go through this model. I've actually finished it up from the last video, and I want to explain the dimensions and all that kind of stuff and how we've got this thing hooked up so that you could actually take the opportunity to create one for yourself in case you want to work on setting up and learning how to best use these type of what I consider professional RC controllers. I think these are absolutely fantastic. So as you know, this is my old radio, the T18, which I've been using for quite some time. This one is no longer available, at least not new, but I'm actually going to stick with the Radio Master. And we've actually done a little bit of an upgrade here. And this is the Radio Master TX16S. This one is the Mark II, and it is a awesome radio. So there's a couple of things that are upgrades for this guy. One of them, of course, is this one has built-in Express LRS, where this one actually has a 4-in-1 module built into it. And so I plan on doing most of my flying. This is going to be my everyday driver. I have not updated the radio as of yet, but I plan on doing an update because it currently has EdgeTX 2.7 on it, shipped directly from Radio Master, but we're going to be updating this to 2.9, and I'm also going to be updating this one to 2.9 as well. And another radio I have over there that is no longer available, I'll be upgrading that to 2.9 as well. It still has OpenTX on it. So I'm going to get all of these radios updated. I'll share a little bit of that experience with you, and then we're going to start by setting up also my receivers. I have the ER6 and the ER8, which I'll be sharing with you soon, and going through my experience of setting these up. And that's part of the reason why these are Express LRS. That's part of the reason why I wanted to set up this model, because this gives me an opportunity to actually go through and share what it's like to set these up, and to be able to share my experience as I go through and set this up. As you see right now, I still have my old Spectrum receiver on here that I'm using for the purpose of setting it up. So we're going to jump over to the overhead, and we're going to go through the measurements and all of that. And then if you want to build one for yourself, you should be able to do so pretty easily. It's actually very easy to build. Alrighty, here we are. We are ready to go. So here's the model top-down view, and you can get a really good view of it at this point. So essentially, and let's just go through the different parts. So what we have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 servos. I do have a rocker switch that I have mounted here that's actually attached between where the battery is plugged in and the ESC. I do have an ESC and motor kit. This particular ESC and this particular motor, and the motor size really doesn't matter that much as long as you have a motor that works. So you'll get something a little inexpensive. And this is a 2212 13 turn 1000 kV motor. And so I just used a piece of foam, and I'm actually going to make a little bit better prop for it, but it came with, you know, the whole spinner and all of that to attach it to. So that's what that is. And then I put arrows for the direction that the prop should be spinning when it's actually spinning properly. And you can probably see where I wrote the arrows, put arrows there as well. So the overall width of this is 14 inches. And I'll explain to you how I came up with 14 inches in just a second. And then this board is 12 inches. And like I said, this entire thing was made off of a single sheet of foam board, and I had foam left over. So that worked out really well. On the bottom, if you turn it over, we have access, and here's the ESC. It's a 30 amp ESC. And like I said, it came as a kit. 30 amp ESC and all of my wiring. And I've cut 2 openings here underneath where the fuselage is actually sitting, so that I could actually reach all of the connections and plug everything in, and that doesn't even matter. Later on, I'm probably going to put some feet on the bottom of this and raise it up a little bit because I have a couple of things that I want to try to do with it. I actually want to put another servo on here so that because I plan on, for the models that I make, I'm planning on making another Tudor, and I'm also planning on making a possibly building the Legacy, and I want to put a cargo drop, and I've got an idea for how to configure the cargo drop on this. Now, the other thing is, like I said, these are very inexpensive servos. The servos are have plastic gears. You don't need anything with metal gears necessarily for a model like this. Just get the cheapest thing possible. The good thing is I haven't noticed any issues with servo jitter out of them, so I mean, they're for this purpose they're working extremely well. Okay, let's get some dimensions down. First of all, this wing is 14 inches, and that's what I based the wing off of. It's just a 14-inch wing. Just to look about right, I made my stabilator here on the back 6 inches wide, 3 inches and 3 inches, and that dimension I actually got from each one of these. So my ailerons are 3 inches, my flaps are 3 inches. So essentially, the fuselage body width is 2 inches. Then we have 3-inch ailerons on each side and 3-inch flaps on each side. Just to even everything out nice and pretty. You could actually make it 3 inches, but that's how I came up with 14 inches total width. And like I said, it looks really good. And I wanted to make it, I tried to make it as compact as possible so that it would actually fit in the screen as I'm viewing it, and I could actually bring my radio in and show you how the radio was actually interacting with it as well, using this top down. So 3 inches for each of these. The fuselage is 2 inches. I have the switch in the center. You can use any switch that you want to, and you don't have to put it here. You can put it anywhere that it actually reaches. You can get your wiring in. And then of course we have our motor in the front. The width here is also 3 inches. My ailerons, flaps, and my elevator are all 1 inch, as well as my rudder. My rudder's actually 1 inch as well. And I just use some of the techniques that Flight Test uses in building their planes in order to do this. And I did put some packing tape over here before I cut everything out, just to give it some longevity so it will last a little bit longer. The wing is actually doubled, and I did that for strength. The space between the board and the wing is only about 1 inch. So I just gave it just enough space that the servos would actually come out through the bottom without actually resting on the board. Give me a little bit of space or room to play around with and do some things. On this side, my cable, power cable for the battery is coming out of this side. And it also, so if you look here where the XT60 comes out of the side here, I made this extension cord, but there's a white wire going to the positive side. That white wire is actually coming out so that I can test getting battery voltage from the receiver and the telemetry. So that is what this wire is right here. It is currently not connected to anything. This particular receiver will give you your battery voltage, but it works mostly with Spectrum radios, and I don't have a Spectrum radio, and I'm not going to go through the trouble of trying to figure out how to make that work with this radio, because I do not plan on putting this particular receiver back in any plane that I plan on using. As you see, I have my Radio Master ER6 and ER8, which I'm going to be using, and if anything, I may just use this as a test, or and the receiver that I'm going to be leaving on this board for the purpose of demonstrations when I go out to the field for anybody who might happen to come by. That one is the Radio Master 88, if I remember correctly. That's the receiver that I have, because that is the same receiver that's currently in my FT Tudor, but one of these guys is actually going to end up in the FT Tudor. So let's go ahead and turn on the radio.
Welcome to HTX. Switch warning. Engine off. Rate profile 1.
And so got all of our switches up, and we don't have this guy on yet. I'm going to change that picture out for the test model, and I'll be changing the receiver out as well, but right now we're just using this receiver. So there's certain functions that are not happening because we're using, like the telemetry. I'm not getting any telemetry information back to this radio because I'm using a Spectrum, but in the future I'll be changing that. So let's go ahead and turn this guy on. All right, there it is. So it's ready to go. One of the things that I did charge this battery up, but I only charged it enough to be able to do this video because this setup does not use a lot of battery power, especially with the fact that the motor's barely going to be running through it. So let's take a look. In case you are wondering, in case you have never actually played with or messed with a RC plane before, this is going to be a really good demonstration of how the control sticks actually work, and just an option for how you might set up your radio. And you can do anything that I'm doing here, with the exception of the way you set your sticks up. I'm currently in mode 2. You can do mode 1. Mostly in the US, you're going to see people using mode 2. And things like where I have my arm switch for the motor actually set, you're going to have to set that up yourself. Whether you want it an arm switch or not, you don't have to. But my throttle does not function because the arm switch is currently off, and I chose away as the off position for that. You see that I have a couple of switches marked. This is actually marked for, so that is correct. The flip is actually for a drone, and then my mode switch is for my flight modes for my drones as well as for my RC aircraft. So that's what this SG switch is set up for. So the way you're going to be able to tell which switch when you're going into your setup, the way you're going to be able to tell which is by going and looking at the SF, SE. These switches actually have, and you can probably see it better on my Radio Master, SA switch, LS, and it's actually very, very easy to see here on this radio. You can actually get in and be able to do all of your adjustments very easy. So let's take a look at what we have here. So for our ailerons, what we have is aileron stick to the left, aileron stick to the right. And if you're ever wondering which way this should actually work, or how this should work properly so that your aircraft actually turns in the direction it's supposed to, I always look at it this way. If I move my stick to the right, then the model should raise its right arm as it's facing away from me. So it should raise its right arm and say, here I am, and then same thing on the left. And that's just kind of my way of remembering. Then we have our elevator. So my elevator seems to be reversed right now. So it should be pulling, when I push forward, it should be going down. On a pull back, it should be going up. Because when you pull back, your nose should be going up. So this is a great example of the reason why this works out well. So we're going to go in here and go ahead and change that real quick. Let's go to the outputs page and go to elevator, edit. And then we're going to, I guess we'll have, currently it says it's inverted. So we're going to turn that off. And now this should be correct. Yeah, pull back, your elevator up, forward, down. So forward is going to nose down, pull back is going to nose up. That's perfect. And then, like I said, your ailerons left and right. Then rudder, when you push to the right, your rudder should go right as the plane is facing away from you. Left should go left as the plane is facing away from you. Looks like I've got the same amount of travel. I did some adjustments to the travel just so it would be a little bit more evident. And then we have our throttle. So
Throttle active.
we armed our throttle. Let's go ahead and
Engine off. Throttle active.
that went ahead and turned up because I have this knob set as my volume control so that I can turn my volume up and down, which is another setting that you can go in like global functions and turn on. So my throttle's active now. So as I push forward on the throttle, and I've done some adjustment here to keep it from going too fast. So as soon as you start to push up on it, it should. So you see there's a little bit of leeway there before it starts to spin. But I didn't want it to spin at 100%. If I'm setting up a receiver for a different model, I won't make that change, but I did do some changes to the settings here on the throttle so that I can keep it from going. See, it maxes out at 47% currently. So I wanted to make sure I kept it from spinning up all the way because it's just sitting here on the desk. Even though I just have this as a prop on it currently, I didn't want it to be running full speed. So I did make that adjustment. So that's less than 50%. We're going to turn that off. And then we have flaps on channel 6, which are connected to channel 6 on my receiver, and my flaps here, and that's a 3-position switch. So I have no flaps, mid flaps, and I guess that would be takeoff or landing flaps. And that's the way I have them set up. And I actually went in and put a 1 second delay on it. So again, playing around, you see how quickly my ailerons move? I didn't want them jerking to position like that, because if you're flying and you put your flap on, it will balloon up. And so I wanted it to move slower. And I got that idea from watching another YouTuber. All right, so that is the setup. That's the measurements. Hopefully you've got the information. So if you would like to build one for yourself, you're welcome to. Also, the servos, servo arms, all of that kind of stuff, everything that I possibly can, I'm linking down in the description. So if you do want to make a purchase, support the channel, and be able to build your own, you're welcome to do that. That will help me to be able to fund many of the additional projects that I'm going to be doing here on the channel as well. So thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. I hope that you've learned something. And if you have any questions, make sure you drop those down in the comment section. Have an absolutely fantastic day. Look forward to seeing you again very, very soon.